In the golden light of the Mughal court, Prince Selim, the son of Emperor Akbar, moved with a grace that was both regal and gentle. His life, though privileged, felt heavy with expectation. Every gesture he made was watched by ministers and nobles. Every word weighed for its political significance. Yet beneath this veneer of duty lay a heart that yearned for something more than power and protocol, a heart that longed for a connection that could transcend the walls of the palace. Anarkali, whose name whispered tales of beauty and artistry through the halls of Lahore, lived a life quite different from the prince's. She was a dancer of unmatched grace, captivating audiences not merely with her movements, but with a subtle charm that drew people to her effortlessly. Despite her artistry, Anarkali was more than a performer. She was a woman of intellect, courage, and an innate understanding of the human heart. Her performances often carried a quiet story, touching the souls of those who watched. Their first meeting was accidental, yet destiny seemed to linger in the air. During a festival celebrating the arrival of spring, the court had gathered in the palace gardens. Flowers bloomed in riotous colors, and the air was fragrant with jasmine and rose. Selim wandered away from the formalities, drawn toward a small pavilion where music floated on the breeze. There, Anarkali performed, her movements flowing like water, her eyes alive with the stories she told through dance. Selim watched from the shadows, at first entranced by her beauty, but soon captivated by the depth of emotion she conveyed. There was a subtle intelligence in her gestures, a reflection of dreams and struggles hidden beneath the elegance. As she danced, their eyes met briefly, and in that moment something unspoken passed between them, a recognition, a spark that neither courtly decorum nor societal expectations could extinguish. After the performance, Selim found the courage to approach her. Words were scarce at first, replaced by glances and a tentative shared smile. He spoke gently, his voice carrying a sincerity that was unusual in the courtly halls. "Your dance," he said softly, "speaks more than words ever could." Anarkali, initially cautious, felt a warmth in his words. "It is but a reflection of life, and life itself is full of stories waiting to be told." Their conversation unfolded slowly over the days that followed, first in fleeting encounters within the palace gardens, then through carefully penned letters carried by trusted attendants. Every meeting deepened their understanding of each other. Selim discovered Anarkali's insight into the human spirit, her laughter that could lighten the weight of his responsibilities, and her courage to dream beyond the confines of her station. Anarkali saw in Selim a kindness rarely seen in the corridors of power, a prince who longed to be more than a symbol, a man capable of genuine love and empathy. Yet, despite the growing bond, the reality of their worlds loomed like a shadow. Selim was the heir to an empire, expected to marry within the realm of royal alliances. Anarkali, though admired, was a commoner, and her status placed invisible barriers between them. Every stolen smile and shared glance carried the bittersweet weight of longing. They knew that their hearts were entwined, yet society's rigid structures whispered of the dangers that awaited should their affection become known. As spring turned to summer, their clandestine meetings became the anchor of their days. The palace gardens, secluded and fragrant, became their sanctuary. Selim would read poetry aloud, and Anarkali would respond with delicate dance, turning words into motion, motion into emotion. In these moments, they existed outside the world's constraints, free to simply be together. But even as their hearts flourished, an undercurrent of tension lingered. Rumors of courtly intrigue and jealous ministers reached their ears. Every shared laugh was tinged with the fear of discovery. Every touch of the hand, fleeting and tentative, was a reminder of the peril that awaited them. Yet in spite of it all, their bond strengthened, rooted in mutual respect, admiration, and an undeniable attraction that neither could resist. By the end of that summer, Selim realized that he could not imagine a life without Anarkali by his side, and Anarkali, in turn, understood that her heart was irrevocably bound to the prince. But the world outside their secret haven was unforgiving, and the path ahead promised trials that neither had yet foreseen. As twilight fell on the palace gardens one evening, Selim took her hand and whispered, "No matter what the world demands, I will find a way to keep our hearts together." Anarkali, looking into his eyes, felt a mixture of hope and apprehension. The journey of love had begun, but the path was fraught with danger, longing, and sacrifices yet to come. In the quiet of that moment, under the fragrant blossoms and the soft glow of the setting sun, two hearts beat in unison, an emperor's heir and a dancer, linked by a love that dared to challenge the very fabric of their world. As the seasons changed, so did the depth of Prince Selim and Anarkali's bond. Their secret moments in the palace gardens and quiet corners of the court had become the heartbeat of their days. Each shared smile, whispered word, or fleeting touch was cherished, a defiance against the rigid expectations surrounding them. Yet, the world outside their private sanctuary grew increasingly watchful. Court life was never simple. Ministers and nobles prided themselves on their ability to influence the prince and predict his choices. Selim, as the heir to a vast empire, was constantly reminded of his duty to maintain alliances and honor family expectations. Meanwhile, rumors began to stir like wind through the palace corridors, rumors of a mysterious dancer who'd captured the prince's attention. Though these whispers were subtle at first, their consequences would ripple through the lives of both the prince and Anarkali. Anarkali, aware of the risks, often wrestled with fear and longing. She understood that love with the prince could never be ordinary. Their connection, though beautiful, was a dangerous thread in a tapestry of power, politics, and pride. Each letter she wrote, each secret meeting was a delicate balancing act between desire and prudence. And yet, despite the threat of discovery, she could not suppress the feeling swelling within her heart. Selim, too, was torn between duty and passion. Every day he was reminded of his responsibilities, a future marriage arranged for political advantage, advisors who scrutinized every action, and the unyielding expectation to uphold the dignity of the empire. And yet, when he was with Anarkali, those burdens melted away. Her presence reminded him that life was more than strategy and ceremony. It was lived through the heart, through moments of genuine connection. Their love blossomed quietly, in hidden pavilions, under moonlit nights, and in the soft glow of candlelight during clandestine evenings. Selim would recite poetry that carried the longing of his soul, and Anarkali would answer with graceful gestures that made words seem insufficient. It was a language all their own, rich with meaning, yet invisible to the watchful eyes of the court. However, as their love grew, so did the eyes of envy. Some courtiers whispered behind closed doors, seeing in Anarkali both a threat and an opportunity. Jealousy stirred among those who had hoped to curry favor with the prince, and subtle schemes began to take shape. They hoped to drive a wedge between the young lovers or discredit Anarkali in the eyes of the emperor. One day, as Selim awaited Anarkali in their secret garden, a trusted courtier approached him with a warning. "Your Highness," he whispered, "there are those who watch too closely. The dancer you favor is not of royal blood. Such attachments, they invite danger, not only for her, but for you." Selim's gaze hardened, but his resolve did not waver. He said quietly, "I am aware, but my heart knows the truth. She is more than her birth, more than any title or expectation, and I will protect her no matter the cost." The danger was not abstract. One evening, as Anarkali performed at a festival in the presence of the court, subtle acts of sabotage threatened her performance. A slight misplacement of stage props, the quiet manipulation of dancers around her, all designed to undermine her grace and beauty. Yet she moved with poise, her art unbroken, her spirit unyielding. Selim, watching, felt both pride and a simmering anger at those who dared challenge her. Beyond courtly intrigue, there were moments of tender vulnerability. Alone, away from spies and whispers, Selim would take Anarkali's hands in his and speak of dreams that seemed impossible in their world. He said softly, "I wish that one day the world would allow us to be together freely, without fear, without compromise." Anarkali, leaning her head against his shoulder, whispered, "Even if the world will not allow it, our hearts will always remember. That love, it cannot be taken by force or law. It exists beyond them." But reality could not be ignored. News of the growing bond reached Emperor Akbar, and concern filled the emperor's heart. He admired his son's passion, but feared the repercussions of a love that defied custom. Arrangements were suggested, alliances to be strengthened through marriage to noble families, and delicate hints that Anarkali's presence in Selim's life could bring scandal. Faced with this, Selim and Anarkali realized that their love, however strong, would be tested as never before. Every stolen moment now carried a weight of consequence. Every glance, every word was charged with a silent urgency. Their connection had grown beyond infatuation into a profound understanding of each other's souls. But the court, with its intrigues and expectations, threatened to tear them apart. Yet, amid this tension, their love shone brighter. They clung to hope, to the moments that belonged solely to them, to the unspoken promise that no matter the obstacles, their hearts were irrevocably linked. They learned the art of patience, of silent courage, and of holding on to each other even when the world seemed determined to keep them apart. And so, as summer gave way to the first cool whispers of autumn, Prince Selim and Anarkali stood at a crossroads. The trials of love loomed large, but their hearts, entwined and steadfast, refused to yield. They had discovered a love that was both beautiful and perilous, a love worth fighting for, even in the shadow of an empire's expectations. Autumn descended upon the Mughal Empire like a soft, melancholic sigh. The vibrant gardens where Selim and Anarkali had shared stolen moments now seemed tinged with unease, the crisp air carrying whispers of suspicion and intrigue. Though their love had grown stronger through secret meetings and quiet confessions, the world outside their sanctuary had begun to close in around them, threatening to sever the delicate thread that bound their hearts. It began subtly, with the hushed conversations of courtiers and the calculated glances of those who sought advantage. Selim, despite his wisdom and courage, could not shield Anarkali from the growing tide of envy. A powerful minister, sensing an opportunity to gain favor with Emperor Akbar, began to manipulate perception, painting the dancer not as an innocent companion, but as a distraction, a temptress who could lead the prince astray. Anarkali, aware of the growing tension, felt the first pangs of fear. She had long known the dangers of loving a prince, yet hope had always tempered her anxiety. Now, however, reality pressed upon her heart with relentless weight. Every meeting required greater secrecy. Every smile shared in the shadow of the palace was tinged with risk. And still she refused to let fear rule her, clinging instead to the truth of their bond. Selim, for his part, was torn between loyalty to his father and the pull of his heart. He understood the responsibilities that came with being the emperor's heir, yet every thought of Anarkali reinforced his determination to protect her. His love had matured, no longer a mere infatuation, but a profound, unwavering devotion. No decree, no expectation can erase what we share, he told himself, though he feared the day when the emperor might demand the ultimate sacrifice. The first real blow came unexpectedly. During a grand court gathering, a carefully orchestrated rumor reached Emperor Akbar's ears that Anarkali's influence over Selim threatened not only the prince's judgment, but the stability of the empire. The emperor, who loved his son, yet valued order above all, summoned Selim to his chambers. The conversation was tense, filled with caution and unspoken demands. "Selim," Akbar said, his voice firm yet tinged with concern, "you must understand the weight of your actions. Your heart cannot dictate the course of the empire. That dancer, she's gifted, yes, but her station is not yours. You cannot allow your affections to jeopardize the realm." Selim, till respectful, felt a surge of frustration and helplessness. "Father," he replied, his voice steady, "my love does not threaten the empire. It is a bond of truth, of loyalty, and of respect. I will not abandon her because of fear of politics." Akbar's gaze was stern, yet conflicted. He admired his son's courage, yet the responsibilities of rulership weighed heavily upon him. He said finally, "I cannot condone this. For your sake and for hers, discretion must prevail, or consequences will follow." The weight of those words hung over Selim like a storm cloud. He returned to the gardens where he and Anarkali had often met, seeking solace in their presence. But the moment was bittersweet. The threat of separation, of a love torn apart by duty and decree, cast a shadow over their otherwise bright connection. In the following weeks, court intrigue intensified. Courtiers and rivals seized every opportunity to further discredit Anarkali, spreading false tales of ambition and manipulation. Selim, desperate to shield her, grew restless and agitated, the tension between his responsibilities and his heart creating a storm within him. Meanwhile, Anarkali remained composed, her courage and intelligence shining even as the walls closed in around them. She reminded Selim that love, while tested, could endure if they remained true to each other. Yet, fate intervened cruelly. One evening, as they met in the moonlit garden, a royal guard, unbeknownst to them, acting on orders influenced by jealousy and suspicion, interrupted their moment. The intrusion was subtle, yet unmistakable. Whispers of scandal began to spread more aggressively, rumors that the emperor himself could no longer ignore. Anarkali sensed the shift immediately. "Selim," she whispered, fear trembling in her voice, "they're closing in. We must be careful or risk everything." Selim, holding her close, felt the helplessness of the situation pressing down. "I will not let them take you from me," he vowed. "No matter what it costs, I will find a way to keep you safe." But the forces arrayed against them were formidable. Power, envy, and rigid tradition created a barrier that seemed insurmountable. The lovers realized that their bond, though unbreakable in spirit, faced real danger in the world beyond their hearts. The court, with all its intrigue and manipulation, threatened to turn their love into a story of sorrow and longing. In the quiet of that night, under the watchful stars and the shadows of the palace walls, Selim and Anarkali clung to each other. They knew that trials lay ahead, betrayal, separation, and perhaps heartbreak, but also knew that the depth of their connection could endure. Even if the empire demanded sacrifice, even if the world conspired against them, their hearts were bound by a love that neither time nor power could sever. Winter had settled over the Mughal Empire, covering the gardens and palaces with a quiet, reflective stillness. The air was crisp, carrying with it both the scent of distant fires and the weight of unspoken decisions. For Prince Selim and Anarkali, the season mirrored the tension within their hearts, a love that had grown beyond measure, yet now faced the harsh reality of duty, expectation, and societal pressure. The court had become a storm of whispers and veiled threats. Emperor Akbar, torn between paternal affection and imperial responsibility, had summoned Selim once more. This time, the conversation bore the weight of finality. "Selim," Akbar said gravely, "your love for Anarkali cannot dictate the fate of the empire. You must make a choice, honor your duty, or embrace a love that the world cannot condone." Selim's heart throbbed with pain. He understood the emperor's position, yet every fiber of his being cried out for Anarkali. "Father," he said softly but firmly, "my duty to the empire is clear, but my heart cannot abandon her. To live without Anarkali would be a life half-lived, a soul incomplete." Akbar, though moved by his son's conviction, remained steadfast. "Then you must accept the consequences. There will be no compromise between love and duty. Choose wisely, Selim, for the path you take will define both your life and hers." The words hung in the air like a silent thunderstorm, heavy with the weight of inevitability. Selim returned to the palace gardens that evening, finding Anarkali beneath the ancient trees where countless stolen moments had been shared. The winter moon cast a silver glow over the scene, illuminating her delicate features and the quiet courage in her eyes. "Selim," she said gently, sensing the turmoil within him, "I know the court demands sacrifices. I do not wish to be the cause of your suffering or the reason for conflict with your father." He took her hands in his, feeling the warmth that had always been his anchor. "Anarkali," he whispered, "you are my heart. If the world cannot accept our love, then I will endure its wrath, but I will not let go of what we share. We have faced whispers, intrigue, and danger, yet we are still here. Our love has survived, and it will continue to survive, no matter the trials." The weeks that followed were filled with careful planning, quiet resilience, and a shared determination to protect each other. Selim and Anarkali realized that the only path forward required courage, strategy, and sacrifice. Their love could not exist openly in a world bound by rank, expectation, and rigid tradition, but it could endure in secrecy, in the private sanctuary of hearts who refused to surrender. One night, as snow began to dust the palace gardens, Selim and Anarkali met for what they both knew might be a defining moment. They spoke of dreams deferred, of moments stolen, and of the unyielding bond that connected them. "No matter what the world decrees," Selim said, his voice trembling with emotion, "our hearts are free. They belong to each other, beyond power, beyond law, beyond expectation." Anarkali leaned into him, feeling the truth of their love pulse between them. "Then let us live in that truth. Let nothing break the bond we have nurtured. We may walk paths unseen by others, but our souls will always know each other." The lovers made a silent vow beneath the moonlight to protect their connection through patience, courage, and unwavering loyalty. Though the empire demanded duty, though whispers and intrigue sought to divide them, they chose a love that transcended circumstance, a love that existed in the quiet spaces of the heart, in letters exchanged, in fleeting glances, in moments stolen under the stars. In the months that followed, Selim continued his duties as the heir to the Mughal Empire with dignity and prudence, while Anarkali navigated the delicate balance of her role within the court. Their meetings became rarer, yet no less profound. Every reunion carried the weight of longing, every farewell the sting of sacrifice. Their love had matured into something eternal, a quiet, steadfast flame that neither time nor circumstance could extinguish. Though history may have recorded them as separated by rank and station, the hearts of Prince Selim and Anarkali remained entwined. Their story became a legend whispered through the ages, a tale of love that dared to flourish despite the harsh constraints of power, expectation, and society. It was a love that taught patience, courage, and the quiet strength of hearts bound by truth. And so beneath the moonlit skies of a palace that had witnessed countless intrigues, two souls endured, Selim and Anarkali, prince and dancer, bound not by convenience, but by the unbreakable threads of the heart, prove that true love could survive, even in the shadow of an empire, even against the tide of duty and decree. Their legacy was not just a tale of longing and sacrifice, but a testament to the power of love itself, a love that remained, timeless and untamed, beyond the reach of the world.